Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. By the way, Isabel, a couple of my excellent audience members have suggested a new nickname for Rachel Reeves. So it works better in print, I think, than vocally, but they say you got two-tier Keir, now you got two tiers Reeves. You see what I mean? Although it's a lot more than two tiers.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about the migrant crisis now. Yesterday 440 came across. The day before, Monday, 879, quite a bumper day. And on Sunday, 585. That's 1,904 migrants illegally crossing the channel in the last 3 days. We don't know what happened today, but the chances are with these balmy, calm conditions, more will have come over. So it's really spiraling out of control now. We're looking at scenes on the French beaches. The French gendarmes now kind of consumed by extremely expensive equipment that we've paid for. They've got buggies, they've got helicopters, they've got special drones, they've got aeroplanes. I mean, you name it, they've got it. The one thing they're not doing is stopping any of the migrants or any of the boats. So that situation goes from bad to worse. And essentially we've got this invasion going on and on and on. Last 3 days, as I say, 1,904 have come across. If you add up how much that is going to cost the British taxpayer over the next year for each and every one of the migrants who came across in the last 3 days, it comes to £76 million over the next year. That's just in the last 3 days. This is getting ridiculous. We have a government that has no idea whatsoever what to do about this and isn't coming up with any ideas. That migrant swap plan with France is just bizarre. And what else do we get? Please, can someone persuade Keir and his gang to stop saying, smash the gangs, smash the gangs? It hasn't worked. It won't work. Can we get rid of that? But no plans, no deterrence. This is getting worse and worse and worse. We're on track for way over 50,000 migrants coming across the channel this year.
Yeah, I mean, apologies for my language because I briefly did swear there, but I do find this very triggering, you know, to see these boatloads of people coming across when we know that this country has no money. You know, we spent much of this week debating on whether, you know, what kind of cuts to be made to people who've got disabilities and, you know, a lot of playing of violins about why it's not possible to cut the welfare bill at all, which is nonsense, of course. And with every illegal migrant that comes over in this manner, you know, you are taking away tens of thousands of pounds from the British people who really need that money. And it really is as simple as that. Now, here's the thing. This government is in absolute meltdown. The one thing they could do, which would change their fortunes pretty much overnight, would be to launch a radical programme of stopping the boats or detaining immediately on arrival. If I were advising in Downing Street, I would say that is where we're at now. If you want to save your skin, Labour government, stop the boats. But I don't think they'll do it because they're obsessed with the whole sort of international law angles of this, you know, the whole how do we behave legally towards people who are behaving illegally, and so I just don't think they're going to do that. But I do think that that would be game changing for them at a time when they really, really need it, as does this country.
I mean, they could do one thing, which would be a brilliant deterrent. They could say to all the migrants who arrive here, right, well, you are claiming asylum. You need to fight this legal case. I hope you got the money for it because we're not going to pay for it. If we just said that to them, they'd stop coming.
Well, I mean, there are many, many things that we could say and do that would stop this happening, but we're not doing any of them. As you said, the one in, one out thing with the French, how often is this going to come up? What, every 6 months is it going to be re-announced and we're all going to be as bemused by it as we were before? It's not a policy to reduce net migration, is it? You know, one in, one out, quite demonstrably not. So they don't have any answers. That's bottom line. They have no answers. There's no backbone there. I don't think there's a political will to sort this out. You know, the problem is, even actually, almost to correct myself, if Keir Starmer, if Downing Street decided, right, you know, we're going to launch this desperate Operation Rescue Keir Starmer, it's going to involve stopping the boats, they'd have the same problem with their own backbenchers as they've just had now with the welfare bill. You know, you have a bunch of them jumping up and down saying it's not hashtag be kind to stop the boats.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you know, they are still gathering around this refrain of smash the gangs, and that somehow or other, when these people arrive and claim asylum, they become legal. They don't. That's a political decision. It's purely political. It's not legal to say, well, now that you've claimed asylum, you can stay. We could stop that decision for a start. But, you know, we have no deterrence whatsoever, just lots and lots of enticements. But as you say, I think we're at the stage now where something dramatic might turn the fortunes of this government around, and that would be to turn the boats around, which is also, by the way, totally legal, no matter what anyone wants to tell you.
Well, look, we are in a national emergency. You know, councils up and down the country are getting increasingly desperate and resorting to increasingly desperate bribes to find accommodation for this never-ending tide of people. And it's going to have the effect increasingly of distorting local housing markets really quite dramatically. I mean, if you're filling up a load of properties, turning them into HMOs to be packed full of illegal migrants, that reduces housing for everyone else. And we all know that Angela Rayner is not able to build houses at anything like the scale that they already calculated we needed before they realized that they were going to be completely unable to smash the gangs. So this has a distorting effect, a negative effect on so many aspects of the economy, of public services, of the NHS. You know, you and I have said this 100 times, it isn't sustainable, and yet the government keeps sustaining it.
Yeah, and their policy to do with the migrant crisis now are like shifting the deck chairs around on the deck of the Titanic. I mean, that's literally what they're doing. So you've got, well, not literally. So this policy, we're going to get them all out of the asylum seekers, get them all out of these hotels. And find them somewhere else to live. So that presumably is going to result in just shifting them from a hotel to somewhere else, where there's still going to be a massive problem. Just moving them around isn't going to solve the problem. What we need to do is stop the migrants, which is why the smash the gangs policy is rubbish, because it doesn't entail stopping the migrants. If you don't stop the migrants, there will always be gangs. Everything about this government's approach to this escalating Uber crisis is simply incoherent.
It is, and there is an increasing number of people feeding off it. You know, we've had the hoteliers making millions out of this crisis. In one case, there is notoriously now, I think, an asylum accommodation billionaire in Britain. But you've now got, anecdotally, I'm hearing a lot from people inside councils saying that they're, you know, being swamped with applications to convert empty properties into homes of multiple occupation. And so instead of, or maybe more likely, in addition to these hotels everywhere that are now no longer hotels and are basically hostels for illegal migrants, you're now going to have them, you know, in all these previously empty properties or properties that were going to be used for something else, perhaps housing young British families in need, are now being converted to the much more lucrative operation of housing asylum seekers. This is complete and utter madness.
Yeah, and what it will amount to is local communities already somewhat disturbed by their local hotel being turned into an asylum seeker centre. They'll be moved out of the hotel and they'll be living next door to you. So this is going to result in even more disquiet. This is unbelievable. This government we're coming up for a year of Labour, and it's been a year of utter chaos, utter hell. This guy Starmer isn't up to the job. His sobbing Chancellor isn't up to the job. And my God, careful what you wish for. If we end up with Angela Rayner, it'll be even worse. Oh my God, what are we going to do, Isabel? Well, after all that, have a lovely weekend, and we'll talk on Monday. Thank you very much. The great Isabel Oakeshott there, Talk's international editor. What do you think about all? This is like kind of ground zero of chaos, isn't it?